I'd like to touch on the Ukraine policy. There's three different types, that the categories that you might fall into for the Ukraine scheme. And basically the three of them, I wanted to just go through them so everybody could see what they were. The Ukraine scheme for family scheme, that allows Ukrainian nationals and their family members to come to the UK, to extend their stay in the UK if they need to, and their family members who have already leave to remain in the United Kingdom. I've put dates there because these dates are when this policy, the specific policy to the Ukrainian citizenships or to stay here in the United Kingdom under the residency, came through. So the Homes for Ukraine sponsorship scheme also allows students to be able to apply for funding to go on to higher education if the Ukrainian nationals and their families who they've come to in the United Kingdom have an approved sponsor under this scheme. And that was launched on the 18th of March 2022. The third element of that is the Ukrainian extension scheme that people can fall into. That allows the Ukrainian nationals who and their families who already have leave to remain in the United Kingdom to extend their leave, and because they cannot return to to Ukraine because of the war there at the moment, they can still apply. Just wanted to talk through that family members who are eligible for leave to remain under the schemes basically can apply for can be any nationality. So it doesn't mean that because you're Ukrainian, that if their family member wasn't Ukrainian, that you wouldn't be able to apply, as long as they fit into this category under the Ukrainian scheme. Next slide, please. So if you've been granted any of those under the Ukrainian schemes, you're eligible for home fee status. What that means is that the universities can't charge you more than what we would charge another person staying in the United Kingdom who is entitled to home fees. And the maximum that they can charge you at a state-funded university is £9,250. I will talk a little bit more about that if you're looking at other universities later, if you'd like. But basically, you're entitled under the scheme to be able to apply for higher education as an undergraduate. There's new short courses that have come through. You might see those short courses. There's been a pilot over the last couple of years, and it's growing at the present moment. Some of the universities that are doing them, you can do short courses to be able to get that under the higher education scheme. Further education was the advanced learner loan I talked about. You're entitled to be able to apply to that. And postgraduate, and that is a contribution. So if you're going on to postgraduate study, it's not paid the same way as undergraduate. What you do is undergraduates, you get your tuition fee loan that's paid directly to the university, and then you get a maintenance to be able to live on over 3 terms. Whereas with postgraduate, it's a contribution. So we'll say £12,000 is what we give you for your course that you're doing, but we don't pay your tuition fees. Out of that, you might want to pay your tuition fees, or you might want to pay your accommodation, but we don't pay the tuition fees. It's a contribution to you, and it's a slightly different loan with the repayment value of it. All right. Postgraduate tuition fees in Northern Ireland are actually given. And that's the difference. So that's why I said look up each of those schemes when you get onto their website. So if you've been given Ukrainian scheme and you'll be eligible for home fees, basically you'll be not subject to the 3 years residency like the Arab scheme and the refugee status. You'll be entitled to get ordinary residency immediately, which gives you access to each of those types of loans from us. Next slide, please. So basically, this is the last element of it. The policy change will align with support for this group. So universities know about all of these. They are given the information. They should be able to also support you. So if you're looking at, if you're not sure what category you fall under and you're not sure who to talk to, I would definitely talk to the student financial advisors at a university to say what your criteria is, and you're not sure, then you can start looking at those. But here, the Ukrainian nationals and their families who either in either case do not meet that criteria, so you don't fit into any of those 3 criteria, you should be able to look at maybe another criteria like a refugee status, applying under that or under the humanitarian protection to leave. If you're not sure, again, talk to the universities and talk to the student financial advisors there. They'll be able to support you and tell you where you fit into which category and what other support you might be able to get under other bursary schemes that they have. Next slide, please. So I wanted to give you some links to the schemes that I've talked about and where you can find more information. So the definitions of those that I've gone through, if you want to do a bit more reading, I've given you a link for that one here. And the next slide, please. I've also given you another link at the bottom for family members and British nationals in the Ukraine. So you've got an idea of where you can find more information and how you might fit into the criteria. Next slide, please. Another area where if you've got definitions of an eligible family member that we use at the Home Office and you want to check some of those schemes, families members of any nationality may be granted under the Ukrainian scheme, so we would be looking at that. Any of those details that you want to go through, again, the rules and regulations are on the link that I've given you there. So it's just reiterating some of the stuff that I've gone through, but you can read a bit more in detail. Next slide, please.